Emil Bove. Of course, he is really someone who has no business serving on the federal bench in a lifetime appointment. So when you give a questionnaire to turn to the Senate Judiciary Committee, well, he didn't answer the question as to whether or not Donald Trump could serve a third term. He also offered no perspective on what happened on January 6th. Now, a whistleblower has come forward with notes showing that Bove pretty much said, F the Supreme Court, we can do what we want when it came to Abrego Garcia. He was asked, that Bove was asked that if he agreed with the 22nd Amendment, which prohibits a third term, he said it wasn't appropriate for him to answer, quote, an abstract hypothetical scenario. I'm sorry, Matt. I don't recall a constitutional amendment being abstract.
No, it's not. And, to add to this, I saw some lawyers primarily from New York talking about this, where one of their wives had worked with him and was like sounding the alarm, like under no circumstances can this guy become, be on the federal bench, that what you see out in public is worse than what is what you see behind closed doors with him is worse than what you're seeing out in public. And if you recall, if I remember correctly, he's the one who wrote that really strongly worded letter about dismissing the case against Eric Adams when the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney and her staff that were, formerly U.S. Attorney didn't want to dismiss it. If you remember that, it was pretty heavy-handed. So none of this surprises me, but what's scary about this is, the way the Supreme Court is ruling these days and the way the executive is given unfettered power via those rulings, there's no real check on this, especially when you have a Congress that may pass him through, right? Because they've got control of the Congress. So that's really, it's a terrifying thing. But here's a perfect example of a person who we really should have major questions about their temperament to be a judge and just their ability to be a fair jurist. Because right before I came on the show, I was talking to our runner here at the law firm about how in Texas, we're one of the few places where you can still directly elect a judge. And ironically, I was telling him the reason I think that's a problem is because a judge should not be partisan. You shouldn't step into her courtroom and say, she's a Republican, I'm not going to get a fair deal. Well, with Emil Bove, that is precisely what you're doing, because in all the capacities he's worked in, he's made it exceedingly clear that his job is to advance Donald Trump's agenda. So when you go into his federal courtroom, you are not going to get a fair shake, or you should at least have a very healthy skepticism about whether you will. And that's a problem, especially when you're shielded by the highest office in the land.
Michael, he calls a hypothetical. Last I checked, FDR was elected 4 times. He's the reason why the 22nd Amendment was passed. It was passed in 1947, ratified in 1951. So actually, it's not hypothetical. We actually have an example, and the example is why we have the 22nd Amendment.
Right. Well, he didn't want to comment on that because Donald Trump back in April said that he could serve a third term. OK, and he also said when he was interviewed by Christian Welker for Meet the Press, he also said that his attorneys had figured out ways for them to do it. And I researched this, and they are absolutely correct. But they have to go to court to do it. There's a difference. Everybody has to understand this. There's a difference between running for a third term and serving a third term. He can't run for a third term, but there are 3 ways he can serve a third term without changing the U.S. Constitution. And it will get challenged in court. I guarantee you by the time it goes to court, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito would have resigned from the Supreme Court, and he would have appointed 2 more Supreme Court justices. OK, and it involves Section 2 of the 25th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution that nobody's talking about. I can elaborate if you want me to, because I've researched this. This is Donald Trump can serve a third term. He can't run for a third term. There's a huge difference. OK, and what we need to look at is how.
Wait. For anybody listening,
go ahead.
Anybody listening? No, it's not that he can serve a third term. No court has this legal theory they're floating. No court has ruled on that. They are saying
no. I said they have to go to court.
Right. What I'm saying, but you said he can serve a third term. What I'm saying is no court has ruled on whether it's elected or serve any of that at all. they are floating that legal theory at the Constitution in terms of what the 22nd Amendment says. Go ahead.
Well, it's also about the 12th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. So they'll go to court to fight this, but I think they got a good chance of winning, because by the time this gets to the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito would have resigned. They would have retired. Would have retired.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with it, because the reality is they rule for him and everything anyway.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is it will be 5 Supreme Court justices he would have nominated. Now, even though it's not a guarantee, if all 5 rule for him, then it can.
Well, he's been pissed off with Coney Barrett or Gorsuch ruling against him, or even Kavanaugh. So what I'm saying is, so that's immaterial. The bottom line is, what they're doing is the reason Bove does not want to address it, because he believes it, and so that's why Trump appointed him. He wants him on the federal. He wants him on the federal bench. Hold on, Ben.
Yeah, no, we're seeing the complete and total seizure of the judiciary, one judge at a time, right? And we see this across all the different levels of the judiciary. And this is the plan that 2025, as well as Donald Trump and his own individual plan, this is what they have been planning and rolling out and executing with efficiency. We have seen several of the Supreme Court rule against Donald Trump, but then we've also seen in some of the most critical decisions, they fall right in line. And so the Federalist Society, along with all of these institutions, they are prepared to make this happen on behalf of Donald Trump. And I think we have to govern ourselves accordingly. Like, this is, if we know the play, if we know the plan, we have to absolutely undermine it with every possible way that we can. I mean, I don't know exactly what all we can do, but we can't simply sit back and watch it unfold and be surprised when it happens.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah, real quick.
First of all, we got to realize, yes, it can happen. Because if people think the shit can't happen, then they won't fight against it.
Well, secondly, obviously, hold on. Obviously, it can happen, because at the end of the day, Supreme Court can make any ruling whatsoever. So we understand that. But it will be a significant legal fight if it actually gets to that. Okay, go.
Yeah, significant legal fight. Now, here's the thing. Donald Trump, because so much attention back in April was shined on him serving a 3rd term, and stories were being written about it, then he backed away from it, right? Just a couple of days ago, Laura Ingraham was in the White House, and he unveiled a Trump 2028. I think it was a jersey or something like that. No,
he actually, that was like a month ago. He actually did the exact same thing.
But here's the thing. He backed away from that.
First of all, him backing away is irrelevant. They've been selling. Hold up. They have been actually selling Trump 2028 merchandise. Okay. Now, 20 seconds, go.
Yeah, but this story here puts the focus back on it, right? And then you have Emil Bove saying he doesn't want to comment on it.
Right.
Okay.
Well, first of all, again, which is another reason why his nomination is trouble across the board. And hopefully you have some of these Republicans who will have some guts. And there have been some other some other judicial nominees that they've actually pulled off of the table as a result of them being too troublesome. So again, that's what we certainly hope happens in this case.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.